Good evening, people. A bit of a late evening this week. A lot later than usual for the Sunday live stream. But thank you very much for joining us. Yes, it's been a busy old weekend. Hence the tardy start. Of course, I've been down in London at the Take Back Power launch, which was very good, I do have to say. And I had a family gathering earlier to attend, so thank you very much for joining me this evening. Nonetheless, happy Socialist Sunday, of course, brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen, they, thems and comrades alike. I'm your humble host, Lefty. Did actually ask Rick Mail if he'd fancy coming in on a guest sit-in as host, but we got this reply, unfortunately.
Nah, I don't feel like doing it. The snooker's on.
Fair enough. Fair enough. If you're a fan of billiard sports, so you're stuck with your old pal Lefty. But do hit thumbs up as you join us on chat, please, people. JK was first in there with the London Cheesehead as well. Nice to see you. Specs Bean Farmer, Graham Turner, Doc Davies, Flow Snake. What a crowd we have building up this Socialist Sunday.
Can you dig it? Can you dig it? Can you dig it?
Is there a whiff of revolution in the air? Possibly. Well, we'll see. Of course, I'm going to be covering the Take Back Power launch, as I said, and lots of other things on the stream. Quite a bit to catch up on. But I'll go through that once we get into Keith's Fondue Lounge. Very shortly, of course. And thank you to Herbie Ranger and the Supersonics, the background jazz band. Let's hear it again, please, lads. The African Cup final is also on, as well as the snooker, is it, Graham? Who's in the final? And furthermore, why is it so controversial? I can't say I've picked up on that over the weekend. Been quite a busy bee up and down the country. Or down and up. Yeah, that way round. Flosnick, you just got a gay dating ad and you're not gay. Maybe it's because you watched a video about Stephen Yaxley Lennon the other day. Maybe, yeah, there's been that thing as well, hasn't there? Apparently was complaining that he was getting such adverts and wasn't aware of the concept of algorithms. Yes, they do go searching sometimes, but sometimes they ride on the nail. So that's been fun. We're going to take a look at some some further pushback against the right, including another slightly embarrassing incident as well, or a couple of. But I can't reveal too much about what's coming up because I'm supposed to do that in the lounge. For now, I will say thank you very much to all of the members on the channel. Really do appreciate all of your supports, and we're on 150 members now. You can also support the stream by hitting the thumbs up button, that's super important, as well as sharing content on your social media. Super chats is open if you're watching live, as well as super thanks if you're watching back later, so please do consider those options, as well as the Buy Me a Coffee page, which is in the description of the stream, and any other content on my left eye. Yes, shouty bloke, we do love a bit of jazz on a Sunday. Starting off with the Yvette Cooper test card, of course, brought to us by the Agitator. Shout out to the Agitator, who also provides Keith's Fondue Lounge, I should also say. Although that's a bit more sort of swing jazz. It's got this kind of cabaret music-y feel to it. Cruise ship lounge band or something like that, perhaps. I can't name the rest of the group, the Supersonics. They'd like to remain anonymous. Might be for tax purposes, I'm not sure. But they've just asked me not to disclose the names. Senegal and Morocco. Morocco, the host nation, has had two controversial decisions in their favour, but no spoilers also. This is controversy within the game itself. Okay, I thought you meant possibly a political controversy surrounding that one. There is, of course, controversy now surrounding the World Cup this summer, set to take place in the United States as well as Canada and Mexico. A huge effort to boycott, and tens of thousands of hotel bookings being cancelled now. I'd imagine a good chunk of those are from the Danish. So Senegal have left the pitch back over to this African Cup final. Well, it's all going on. It's all happening. Incredible scenes, Jeff, incredible scenes. Potential football spoilers in the chat for anyone who's evading results. If you do follow the Africa Cup. We've started talking about sports all of a sudden. But I think we should get into the lounge and get started, because it's already a late enough start as it is. Thank you, Herbie. Let's go and visit Keith. Bit of a gate crash session.
Oh, God.
As always on Sundays, feel free to have a little dance in the relevant spaces that you're occupying wherever you might be listening to the stream. Unless, of course, you are currently in charge of an articulated vehicle or something like that, then please don't concentrate on the road, of course. But it's the biggest earworm on the net. Once again, shout out to the Agitator for providing us with the scene. So what's coming up, people? Well, we're taking power back. That's what's happening. Got some footage from the launch. Yeah, a few appearances, and it was, yeah, really well attended. Really great kick-off to this new organisation that I'm very happy to tell you and proud to be involved with. Regular viewers, of course, and all that. I do like a bit of action. Oh, yes. Great speeches, including one from Miriam Francois coming up on the stream. Stick around for that. I'm sure that's a name that's familiar to quite a lot of viewers. Journalist Miriam Francois. as well as other reps from TBP, a few friends of mine in there as well, cut speeches. Then, as I said, it's not been a great week for the right wing. A few embarrassments have been floating around. We're going to take a look at a few examples of those, as well as, well, I'll be honest with you people, I have a little dilemma where one particular example is concerned. It's the video which features in the latest video on the channel regarding historically inaccurate Viking in a bathtub on skates being chased by IC agents. You know, an average scenario. But I'll get on to that. Because one or two things have been brought to my attention. But what else do we have coming up? Yeah, a bit more about the right wing. Farage has had something to say about this. Well, the long-lasting now label that Reformer, just full of washed-up Tories. There's also been the news that Tony Blair will be joining Marco Rubio on this Donald Trump Gaza peace board, which is just the biggest load of crap I've ever seen. Yeah, so lots to get into. Might get on a few tangents as well. A couple of comedy clips thrown in to try and keep our spirits up. But yeah, there's a few topics that I'd really like to get your opinions on this evening, so stick with us on stream, stick with us on chats. Let us know how you're feeling, what's the vibe? Revolution much, people? Alright Keith, we'll catch you later on, that's all for now. Bye Margaret, see you Mandy, you snake. Back to the chats, right. Thank you Herbie. That was quick. That's what I like to see. Just, yeah, Rick, are you sure you're not going to join me on the hosting?
Nah, I don't feel like doing it. The snooker's on.
Okay, right. I won't ask again. No Rick Mail, unfortunately.
Pathetic!
Okay. Let's get into things. Didn't Vikings discover America, or was it the Chinese or Africans? Well, it's believed Vikings did. Well, it is known that Vikings landed in America, traded with the natives, sometimes fought with certain tribes. Although a lot of it remains a mystery, but it is known through archaeological evidence that they did in fact settle in what is now northeast America and Canada. Actually, one thing just sprung into my head. There's a great deal of historical literature and whatnot out there about this, but if you want a really good visual rewind. If you would like a really good visual representation from another really good YouTube channel, I can definitely recommend History Dose, because I recently saw a video of theirs which involved a clash between Viking and natives. It's a pair of brothers who run the channel, I believe. One of them does the narration and the other one does these incredible bits of artwork. So yeah, do check out History Dose, highly recommend it if you're into your historical warfare or just history in general. Free plug there for History Dose, and you'll always get top tips here on my left eye. Check it out. That's History Dose, American channel. But don't hold it against them. No, in fact, I can actually disclose, people, I was going through some channel stats over the weekend, and I'm not sure if it's due to recent content that we've had out about ICE, but US viewers are now the majority on the channel, which is something I only recently discovered. But that's good to know that we're branching out. Solidarity with all our American viewers. We know that you're not all like the pumpkin spice Palpatine, don't worry. We know they're good, solid socialist movements. WYCD, nice to see you on chat. How are you this Socialist Sunday? Solidarity. So, moving away from historical mass migrations or settlements, we'll kick off with a comedy clip, which in a way sort of concerns that subject. And it's from Claire Blackwood, who started to feature on the channel recently. Another shout out for Claire Blackwood. There's a link in the description for her channel, as well as this great video, her latest. So yeah, she's calling out the Democrats this time. She's a socialist, should actually say. But here's the latest one from Claire Blackwood. Go and subscribe. She does a great version of Kristi Noem as well. Thank you, Herbie. We'll be back with Herbie Ranger and the Supersonics in a moment.
Hi there, fellow American. I'm your local Democratic representative. As you probably know, ICE has been terrorizing our city, brutalizing your neighbors, your friends, and your family. Boo! And as the politician you elected, it's my job to make sure that stops. Listen, I've tried to bring out the big guns. I'm sure you saw me on the news this week telling ICE agents to get the heck out of Dodge before I write them a moderately angry tweet. I even gave them a big old double thumbs down. But nothing's working. They keep killing people. That's why today I'm proposing a new solution. We stop fighting, stop protesting, and start giving every ICE agent peaceful little kisses. On the mouth! Or where you think their mouth is underneath their Punisher mask. As the people being actively targeted, you can't play into the Trump administration's hands by getting mad about it. We can't give them what they want by trying to stop them from murdering the people you care most about. They'll just murder more, as opposed to a reasonable amount of murder. By kissing your local invading ICE agent on the lips, nose, or eyelids, you'll be letting them know that you come in peace and love. And they'll immediately have a change of heart and remove their knee from that hard-working immigrant father's neck. I mean, he really should have just complied in the first place. Better yet, if you see immigration officials trying to kidnap a legal American citizen by way of window of their car, grab your camera and film yourself laying an absolute French kiss of peace on that trigger-happy high school dropout. Remember, as we Democrats always say, taking a stand against a tyrannical government is only okay if you're nice about it. Kiss that creeping fascism away. So pucker up, constituents. And if I hear any one of you utter the word abolish, I'm calling the fucking police. Hi, thanks for watching my video. I hope you enjoyed it. And
Go and subscribe and subscribe and subscribe.
I'm here to let you know that I now have a Patreon if you'd like to support me and my work. There will be blooper and behind the scenes videos, weekly Canadian politics roundups, and more. The link is down in the description, so check it out, and I'll see you next time.
Well, the link to Claire's channel page is in the description of this stream, so do check it out, and you'll get that link from there if you want to follow the links to support Claire Blackwood. That was a really good one. But that's just it, yeah. What's the best you're going to get out of the Democrats? A slightly angry tweet? Give me a break. Herbie, let's have Have some more of that nice smooth jazz. Great. Claire Blackwood there, more comedy to come. There's actually a debut, someone I've not featured previously on the channel, or not plugged, I should say. The channel appears to be a lot more established than mine is, so it's, yeah. Yeah, she's really good, and I, once again, really like the Christy Gnome that she does. She literally had me in the first sentence of the first video. She was that good. I think it was obviously Al's Christy Gnome. She comes on, and I'm paraphrasing, but she said something like, "Good evening, you are all subhuman scum and should die and go to hell," or something like that. Very good likeness to the mouth of Sauron, Christy Gnome. I've not got the picture to hand for the gag. Oh well, that's a shame. But let's move on. Take back power, the first topic of the evening.
Socialists. Oh my god.
Yes, because socialism stops fascism. So we're going to see what the latest steps to counter the latest rise in fascism is, as well as take back power, as well as get more democracy in the United Kingdom via replacing the House of Lords with a Citizens' Assembly or Citizens' House, and proper taxation for the financial elites, the billionaires. So yes, this was down in London at Limehouse Town Hall yesterday. Yours truly was in attendance. Just want to kick off the segment by saying I had some transport problems getting down there. There were some problems on the west coast, Avanti West Coast. So unfortunately I arrived an hour late, which meant I did miss Jonathan Porritt's presentation, unfortunately. Do see quite a bit of Jonathan Porritt, so I'm sure that I'll be able to get him in an appearance somewhere else, because it's always worth hearing what he's got to say. But yeah, I'm sure I can bring you some other Jonathan Porritt stuff to come in the future, but did get some great spokes from Take Back Power, as well as Miriam Francois. So I do have the full appearance from Miriam Francois. Didn't manage to get a bit of a side interview with her, unfortunately. She was running behind schedule and had to get off shortly after her appearance, but it was incredible. It was an incredible day altogether. Lots of great people with her, with lots of great ideas. I'm going to talk, obviously, this is not an official TPB broadcast on the Sunday live stream, but I'm going to talk you through the basics of what it's about. But that will all be explained in the speeches as well that you're about to see. A few excerpts from some of the appearances. What a Floki, is great to see you on the stream. Solidarity, yep, socialism will stop fascism. It is the remedy, it is the cure. It's the only thing that stops it. Neoliberalism certainly doesn't stop it. In fact, it opens the door for it, and we're seeing that in real time right now with the remnants of the Labour Party and Reform, of course. Those of you who joined us at the start of the stream will, of course, have seen that recent announcement, the latest defection to Reform from the Italian Fascist Party. That's Benito Mussolini now on board. Wonder how that one's going to end. There's been an uprising. He's been arrested. We threw him in prison, but then the Nazis broke him out and got back. But luckily, a mob managed to track him down. That's the very, very brief essay version of those events. But let's get into this with TBP, because of course the fight against fascism is going to come up in this. I'm going to start with someone who I'm sure I've mentioned once or twice before on the channel. Perhaps played one or two clips of the media appearances. A friend of mine from JSO as well as other stuff, James Skeet, wonderful person. So I've just got a little bit of his presentation. So I'll just introduce everybody as I get through the clips, I guess. There's no point in me reeling out a list of names at you right now, because you're not going to remember them. So let's start with James Skeet, who probably won't mind me telling you he was quite disappointed that he couldn't fit in more penis jokes during his appearance. And he is single, by the way. He would not mind me letting you know. Okay, James Skeet, he really is a great guy. Always on point, but always manages to raise a smile when he's on stage as well. Just before we do, thank you, Herbie. A quick announcement in chat, another actual, not a comedy one, an actual one, a Tory defection. Andrew Rossendale just defected to Reform. Well, we'll come on to that later on, because I do have something relative to the defections. Like I said, this Farage has said something about it. There might be one or two things that he's realised, or realised that the public are realising, I should say. But thank you very much for that update there. Specs Bean Farmer, awesome stuff. Right, let's get on to the clip. This is James Skeet. Take back power.
Annihilate literally all known life in the universe so they can poop in one of those tacky gold-plated toilets for a few more years. It's fucking unacceptable what's happening. And I think it is our moral duty at this point in history to try and resist what's happening. We're being told that we're just sort of atomised individuals, that we just sort of like compete with each other. But what if we like told a different story? What if we had a different kind of world? Like all of this shit is just kind of one thing, and it's all going to go to shit if we don't do something. So we've got to mobilise to combat this threat. So that's my pitch to you, to get you asked for a Take Back Power training, get yourself involved, get your ass on the street, and then take back power. I think that's it. Alright, cool. Yeah, that's about it. That's my inspirational speech bit. And there was barely any penis jokes in that. I think that's like personal growth as well. This is why I don't have an active job.
Alright, go. We're back. Slight mic issue there, I think. A Peasants Revolt. Great to see you on chat. We were actually going to have Rick on as a guest host, but the snooker's on.
Yes! Yes! Yes!
Yeah, sorry about the audio. I've not had much time to sort of dabble with that before I put the clips in. barely had time to compress them down. They were actually massive files. But the audio quality does get better on the upcoming clips. I managed to position myself closer to one of the speakers itself. In fact, on this next, there was a bit of... I wasn't in charge of the PA myself, but there was a bit of jiggery pokery. And then they put some reverb on it, so the next person that you're going to see, Arthur, it's really cool actually. It sounds like he's speaking in a stadium or something. So that was a very short clip of James Skeet there. But hopefully I'm going to be catching up with him for a chat about Take Back Power in a separate interview on the channel. I'll keep you posted on that. So we're going to hear from Arthur next. He's going to get a bit more into what Take Back Power are all about. So as I said, stadium audio. But it was a very packed out hall. Filled the entire town hall. Well, you'll see that in a little insert video that I've got as we go through these clips as well. So Arthur's up next, and he's going to tell us a bit more about what's happening. Again, yeah, nice guy, Arthur.
Because we know that the centre is gone. The centre is going to collapse. Labour has the least popular Prime Minister that this country has ever had, right? Ever, in history. That kind of shows the unprecedented times we're in. And the Tories, I mean, they're just done. Like, nobody cares about them anymore. They're having defections every other day, right? The centre is gone, so either fascism takes control of the state or progressive movements take control of the state. Those are the two options right now. That's what we're looking at this point in history, and obviously we're going to go for the progressive side. So this has to be step one, stopping fascism. Because this is the fight for the soul of our country, right? We're staring down the barrel of a gun, we're staring at these crossroads, and we know that we need to pick decisively and with massive courage which way we're going to go to push it there. So how do we do this? How do we stop fascism? How are we going to make this happen? Well, step one is keeping an iron focus on inequality. Because we know that inequality, fascism needs it to survive, right? It needs it to succeed. It needs corruption to succeed. So this is why that we need to keep this focus on it, because it offers false solutions, right? We know that the solution to what our country is facing is taxing the rich, not stopping the votes, right? We know that it's taxing the rich, not putting children in cages on the border. And we know that the strong leadership we need are the actual people affected by decisions, not a guy who sang Hitler Youth songs in school.
Sorry about the poor framing here. I was in the middle of having to get someone else's attention to the side of me. I won't go into the details, but just apologies for some of the framing.
Nigel Farage actually did that. He sang Hitler Youth songs in school.
This is great from Arthur. Just going to skip back.
We know that the strong leadership we need are the actual people affected by decisions, not a guy who sang Hitler Youth songs in school. Nigel Farage actually did that. He sang Hitler Youth songs in school. That just shows you the kind of guy, right? So this is what we need. We need this rigorous focus on inequality to make it clear that taxing the rich is the solution, to make it clear that this is what the fight is about, really. It's not about immigration, it's about inequality, and we will fight for this until this is the #1 issue at the election in 2029. We will make it clear through civil disobedience that this is what we have to be on. This is what we're going to be doing. Because inequality is out of control, and it will continue getting worse and worse until we tax the rich. We know this, right? Everyone in this room knows this, and we just need to make this clear to the rest of the country. Longer term as well, we also need to link inequality with corruption. We know that these things come hand in hand, right? The democracy being eaten alive from the inside out is because the super rich have taken it hostage.
Yeah, pretty much whatever your concern is within society, including environmental issues. A lot of the founding members of Take Back Power, of course, have come from organisations like JSO and XR. Just on to the finer points about it, it's the billionaires that control the fossil fuel oligarchies are included in that as well. So as long as that wealth gap exists, as long as that greed exists, then every single socio-political problem within society that you might consider personal to yourself or that you consider is harming the country or even the world to a wider aspect, then it's all because of the super rich. It's all because of the wealth gap. It's the core of everything. It's the nucleus of everything. And if we're going to have real justice, if we're going to have real democracy, because let's not forget, with wealth comes influence. You can buy elections once you get past a certain point, and then there is no democracy because of corruption and the constant desire for power that comes from capitalist greed.
They've taken it for their own gain, and they basically get to choose based on every donation they make. Like, this is how the system works. So democracy being eaten alive from the inside out is because the super rich have taken it hostage. They've taken it for their own gain, and they basically get to choose policy based on every donation they make. Like, this is how the system works. So also need to make it clear that the super rich have completely taken the politics hostage, and we're going to be taking it back.
Oh, sorry, with the framing, I meant with the shots. Yeah, I just had to sort of position myself on the floor. Couldn't quite get an angle from the side because of where Arthur was stood, but managed to find a position you could see between a few objects, and there's the wire coming down. But I just meant he went out of frame on the shots a few times because I was looking to my left to try and get someone's attention about a technical issue.
And the UK isn't a stranger to democracy movements, right? I mean, we've heard already how the suffragettes organised in this particular building. And the suffragettes, they were doing mad things. I don't know if people know some of the things they did. They were like chaining themselves to gates. They got a blimp that said votes for women, and they threw leaflets out across King's Parade. My personal favourite as well is when a 19-year-old Marjorie Bryce wore a full suit of armour and rode a white horse at the front of a procession in London. Isn't that that's fucking sick? So you see the kind of stuff that these people did. They also had 1,300 women go to prison with the suffragettes. 1,300 women. This is the courage it takes to change a system. This is the courage it takes to go up against political corruption and say...
It is, and a lot of the time, if, for example, a female troll comes in to the comments in the story that I share or whatever about a protester that's been arrested or locked up, a non-violent protester, a lot of this has come with the PAL action and DOJ stuff as well as stuff I've done with JSO, but the very first thing I'm always inclined to ask them is if they've ever voted. And then if they do bother to respond, then I'll obviously point out the same things as Arthur's doing here about what had to be done to attain the right to vote for women, because if you think that JSO are disruptive, these suffragettes were pretty badass, were pretty vicious. They'd stop at nothing. They, politicians' houses, letter bombs, these kind of things. You just heard some more statistics there from Arthur. And unfortunately, sometimes society is pushed towards that for justice. Obviously, with Take Back Power, this is non-violent direct action that's been proposed. Non-violent direct action is, of course, the method of JSO, Extinction Rebellion, lots of other organisations not proposing anything violent whatsoever, but it's the thing that Arthur's trying to convey here is the severity. Something severe has to be done. Something radical has to be done for real change, because your politicians are all bought. They're not going to give it to you. They're all bought by the billionaires, bought and paid for, almost lock, stock and barrel. And there are glimmers of hope in politics, in the UK, for example, with the Greens and your party. However, politics, the framework that we have, the construct that we have to work within in the UK is far too slow. At the moment, we could be looking at potentially, realistically, let's say, Green Party become the third, or your party become the third biggest party in the UK in 2029. That still puts us 5 years away from a socialist government minimum. So that'll be 2034. If you're looking around you at the world today, do you think we've got time to wait until 2034? Because I certainly don't think so. I've got to be honest with you, people, the reason that got me involved with organisations like JSO in the first place was the time issue, especially where climate tipping points are concerned, and I had no confidence in politics or politicians at the time. I have slightly more confidence now that we have, obviously, the Greens and your party as a glimmer of hope, but in terms of the chronological timescale, it's we the people who have to step up and represent ourselves before we expect any politician to. That's all I've got to say about that at the moment. Let's carry on and hear some more from the marvellous Arthur.
Now, you know what? We're actually going to change it. We're not going to accept that this is how it has to be, that we get to decide
Yeah, floor steak, don't worry about the misunderstanding with the framing. It's all good, don't worry about it.
how it's going to be. And this is the sort of stuff that we need to keep doing, right? We've already seen it with the Ritz. We've already seen it with the crown jewels. We need to be getting this attention. We need to be doing these slightly outrageous things so it keeps getting in the news. People keep talking about inequality, keep talking about taxing the rich until it becomes the #1 issue at the 2029 election, until that is all the country can think about and that's all the country can talk about. And the elites know that they're not going to get away with telling us it is anything other than that. The bare minimum. We are asking for kids in Gaza not to be blown up. We're asking to stop pumping out fossil fuels so that 4 billion people don't die. We're asking for people in this country to be fed, to have homes, to be able to pursue their passions, right? What we're asking for is humanity, basic humanity. And if the system as it is, if our politics as they are cannot provide that, then we'll just have to change it. We'll just have to shift it. So that's what we're going to do. I put down all my paper. I didn't mean to do that. I meant to just put down one of them. And we're part of a movement, right? We're not going to do this by ourselves with Take Back Power. We're not thinking that we're going to charge ahead. We're asking for constitutional change. Nothing short of that. We're asking of nothing short than to play our part in rebuilding society from the bottom up. This is how it's always been, this is how society is made, and this is what we're going to do again. And there's 3 ways that this is going to happen across the movement. I'm going to kind of set the big picture here before we go into the specifics. But there's 3 kind of big things that we're going to be doing. The first is political disruption, right? So think your Greens, think your party, think the independents selected by assemblies. These are the people on the inside, right? Because if we're serious about the system change, if we're serious about changing politics, part of that is going on the inside, pulling on the levers that already exist. So this is what we need to do. This is part of the project. But we know that it's not only going to come from the inside, right? We know that it needs to be wholesale replaced. And so we're also building the alternative, and this is the House of the People. This is the assemblies that are happening up and down the country with Assemble and other community projects. We're not going to make the same mistakes as previous movements. There's this guy called Vincent Bevins. I don't know if people have heard of him, but he went around and interviewed a bunch of movement leaders from the 2010s because there were loads of uprisings, and many of them were successful in the way that they had a revolution, right? They ousted someone, they changed the system, but they didn't create lasting change. It didn't get institutionalized, and his job was to find out, why did this happen, right? Why were there all these successful movements, and why didn't they create this lasting change? And one of the key reasons across all the movements was because people weren't ready. People weren't expecting the uprising to happen when it did. They just thought it was another demo, they just thought they were going to another rally, and then boom, before you know it, 100,000 people shutting down the capital of Iran or whatever it was, and bringing about this revolution. This is how it happens. People were always unsurprised, caught unexpected, so they didn't have the replacement ready. This is prime example is in Egypt with the Muslim Brotherhood. It's happened across the world. So we're going to be ready, basically. We're not going to be defeatist. We're not going to say oh no, that would never happen here, because we know what happens across the world. We know what's going to happen here, so we're going to have the alternative ready. That's the House of the People. That's the assemblies. So we're going to be building that as well. Actually, let's just do a little check. Are we serious about mass mobilization? Are we serious about stopping fascism? Are we serious about changing the system and putting the people in power? Okay, I just had to check, guys. I just had to check.
that was Arthur there. A bit of a sample from his great presentation. I'm going to be putting the link to the organisation in the description of the stream if anybody wants to find out more. I've got some more clips to come as well. Perhaps you might even want to organise one of those assemblies in your area, because it's about local as well as national democracy. Take Back Power are going to be getting lots of plugs on tonight's stream, by the way, just in case you haven't guessed already. Slightly biased. Up next we've got David Curry, if that name rings a bell. He has featured once or twice before on the channel, gave a great speech outside Shell HQ during JSO's final march in London last year. You might also remember him as one of the protesters who disrupted Eurovision that year as well. A great friend of mine. It was great to catch up with him yesterday down in London as well. He is actually up here in Manchester. I say catch up. And a great orator as well. Yeah, I did do an interview with David at one point on the channel also. Check out previous content. It's always worth listening to. Just one moment. I need to monitor that in my headphones. Also, just to quickly explain while I've got it paused, so so I'm sort of sat cross-legged on the floor while I'm filming this. David is well over 7 feet tall. He's a very tall lad. So, just to explain the sort of the shot, the angle, for anybody who's confused, just the combination of those two things. Okay, David Curry. Who's Geordie? You'll soon pick up. I know we've got shout out to the northeast on my left eye.
Wow, what a crowd of people. There's so many eyes looking at us, jeez. Okay, what an amazing day this has been so far. The energy in the room is just incredible, and I'm so excited that now Take Back Power is real and we're going to make it happen. Yeah, it's been so amazing speaking to so many people, getting so many fantastic hugs, meeting new people. It's been an amazing day. But now my job, I guess, is to try and inject some more direction to try and get us from where we are now in this room to a place where we can have hundreds of people on the streets in April. An essential part of taking us towards the end goal of getting tens of thousands of people out on the streets come 2029. So yeah, I mean, I've been given sort of the graveyard shift here in some respects, like last on, so I'm going to try my best to get the energy levels up and get a bit of focus into the room. Now, there's already so many people here. I mean, I'm amazed by how many people have turned up. It's amazing to see so many faces. But come April, we want there to be a lot more of us. But don't worry, we'll have a plan of how we're going to get there. But it requires every single one of us working together and yeah, getting on our knees and scrubbing. It's going to require a bit of graft to mobilise and pull more people along with us. Now, what this is going to look like more materially is mobilisation up and down the country. We have over 8 cities with active communities who are going to be mobilising up and down the country. And in no particular order, we've got Manchester.
Yes!
We've got Liverpool, Leeds, Cambridge, Bristol, Falmouth, Exeter, London. Sorry, I gave Manchester so much bias there. It was kind of my plan.
Yes.
Money 0161, come on. What this looks like is, in all of these cities, we're going to be running a comprehensive mobilisation plan, running events, community sessions, bringing people into our community and telling hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people about the plan. Now, there's so much that we're going to be doing. I don't have time to talk about every single event, but I'm going to touch upon a few key things on the pipeline. So, first of all, Skeet mentioned it earlier, but we've brought in new trainers which are called Who We Are trainings. Now, these are crucial sessions for everyone who wants to be involved in Take Back Power. They're going to be super interactive, engaging sessions. We ran one before Christmas. It was a really, really great day. And they're going to go through our culture, our story, our theory of change, and so much more. And this will allow us all to truly understand who Take Back Power is, so we can go and tell the world about it. And there are sessions, versions of these running across the country in the coming weeks. As Skeet mentioned, I'm just going to reiterate it, the more we hear, the more likely people will turn up. We've got one next Saturday in London, on the 31st in Manchester, and on the 7th of February in Falmouth. And after we've all...
So are you listening, people? Those dates, again, I'll just rewind. That was Falmouth at the end, by the way, Falmouth.
In Manchester, and mentioned, I'm just going to reiterate it, the more we hear, the more likely people will turn up. We've got one next Saturday in London, on the 31st in Manchester, and on the 7th of February in Falmouth.
Get your asses down, people.
And after we've all attended these trainings and we're all ready to go and tell the world about Take Back Power and have full understanding of who we are, we're then going to run a round of welcome events. So these are the events that we promote the absolute shit out of, make sure that everyone attends, and they're a vital opportunity for people to come along and hear about the plan. So we'll have a rousing speech from our speakers up and down the country, we'll have food, discussions, and it'll be one of the key parts of the pipeline where new people can come in and hear about who we are and the plan that we have, this being a vital opportunity to bring people into action.
Specs Bean Farmer, thanks for your commenting there. Yeah, this being a brand new organisation, it will be spreading out nationwide into Scotland. I've already actually made inquiries about this myself. So yeah, it will be coming to where you are nationwide very soon. These are just the first sort of few events that have been confirmed so far. There are going to be so many more. Keep up to speed on the website, which I will post in the description of this live stream, of course. So yeah, keep your eyes out, people.
And then, of course, we will continue to run non-violent direct action trainings, which will run through both the theoretical but practical sides of non-violence, allowing us all to be fully prepared before we all go and take action later in the year. And this will be an essential session for everyone to take action, and no doubt there'll be so many of us in this room who will be doing that in March, and in March across the country, and then in April in London. Wicked.
David Curry there, again, just as I wouldn't have the time to play everybody's full speeches, unfortunately. I'm sure you'll see more excerpts coming out. Actually doing some media myself for TBP, amongst other things. But don't worry, Specs Bean Farmer Wells will not be forgotten. Looks likely the Welsh are going to get independence as well. Let us know how you feel about that. Okay, so after David had been on, we sort of broke up, had a bit of a break. Participants got into breakout groups and things like that. In fact, we had a very good roving reporter down there on the scene, who we can go over to right now, I believe. Just incredible, award-winning levels of reporting going on here. Great turnout. You can see here everybody's just broken into groups discussing how they might get involved with the organisation and things like that. But it's a really great atmosphere here. Lots of people here with some really great ideas about how we can really take democracy back, how we can really take power back. If you'll forgive the pun. But no, this is great. This is fantastic stuff, and it's coming to your city soon. We're back. The buffering, the dreaded buffering, it's over. Thank you very much to the rover and propulsor there. As you saw, a great turnout there at Limehouse Town Hall. There were some other speakers, unfortunately I couldn't fit everybody in. For example, Zara here, one of the speakers, who was actually in so Take Back Power carried out a few stunts as the organisation first got off the ground, and Zara took part in one of those that you might remember, the Crown Jewels, the custard and crumble on the Crown Jewels there, so that's Zara on the left. Yeah, she was great as well. Had a bit of a audio issue with her clips as well. Unfortunately I can't bring you any of her great oration. But yeah, she was just 19 last year when she carried out that action. So a lot of the youth are getting involved as well. And yeah, sorry I couldn't fit in everybody's speeches or everybody's full speeches, but I will play the full appearance from main speaker Miriam Francois, who's also done some things with Youth Demand as well, an organisation I'm proud to have been involved with, of course. Graham, currency is one issue. Well, get yourself an assembly together and put that to the group. That's a discussion I'd certainly like to get involved with. That'd be a mega side tangent. I've got a lot to say about that as well. You know, the petrodollar, these issues, as well as BRICS countries' migration away from the US dollar as reserve currency. Perhaps another conversation for another time, but that is certainly something that has to be considered on a global scale. Keep your ideas coming in the chat, people. But for now, here's a name I'm sure you'll all recognise. Journalist Miriam Francois, one of the better ones, who I'm sure you recognise from panel appearances and other things. This was a really great speech as well.
Can you hear me okay? Yeah, I can just close up. First of all, I want to say a huge thank you to Youth Demand, for every single one of you for being here. I do nothing compared to what the majority of you are doing, which is the hard graft in the shadows. So like, big up yourselves for actually being the heroes of this story. I was at a Youth Demand event, we were just talking about it a year ago, and the numbers in this room were about a third of what they are today. So that's in a year. You've trebled your numbers, you're looking great, all of you. And these are the basics that we need to grow for the change that needs to occur. So I just wanted to be here today to support. I'm just like every single one of you in this room, looking around, conscious that we're going to have to be the change that we need to see, right? We can't be waiting. There's no heroes going to fly down. No one's coming to save us, as I think Zara recently said, which is actually what I tell school kids at their graduation every year, which goes down really well. So I wanted to highlight a couple of different things. One is obviously that we live in extremely confusing times, right? So we're living in an era where anti-Semitism, the accusation of anti-Semitism is being used to shut down opposition to genocide, including among Jewish communities and including among Holocaust survivors. We have an Eton millionaire who claims to be the voice of the working class. We have Tony Blair appointed to a board with the word peace in it. You lot tell me how that works. The current government claims to be from the left. Just wondering. And a handful of people with more wealth than half of the global population, right? Taxing the rich apparently is bad for the economy. Just tell us whose economy, because I don't think it's our economy. And I think that all of these really confusing factors are occurring at another juncture that is really important for us to assess effectively. I had the unique opportunity as part of my education to study social movements. I believe in studying social movements for change as in order to be able to more effectively bring about change, you need to know how others have organised, what's worked, what hasn't. There are important lessons from the past to take forward. So a couple of different things I wanted to highlight. So one is the question of what socially orientated policies at a state level look like in a globalised world, right? We're no longer operating just at a state level. Many of you are here today because you also stand in solidarity with groups and individuals and communities around the world. So what does socially oriented policies within a state context look in a globalised world so that we don't repeat the lessons of equity for us but inequality for others, right? Our success, our achievements can't come at the cost of our brethren in other parts of the world who are just us in a different version, right? In a world where up to 70% of the current workforce is going to be pushed out by AI, where taxation is no longer going to be linked to labour, when we think of the effectiveness of labour unions, we think of the fact that the threat that we pose to the state as unions was a withdrawal of labour. What happens when labour no longer carries that power? Where do people find sources of leverage against the state? I think these are really important questions for us to consider as we move into this new era, as we're sort of sleepwalking into this new era. Because if human labour is no longer the main source of profit and therefore the main source of state contestation, how do we organise power? How do movements avoid mass surveillance when we all carry a tracker at all times? When our every movements, our every thoughts are being watched? Have you noticed that for a while, do you remember we all used to walk around going, I don't get it, I just talked about toothpaste and now I've got a toothpaste ad on my phone, right? But have you noticed now that you don't even have to say the word toothpaste, you just have to think about toothpaste and the toothpaste ad appears on your phone. So that's where...
Or gay dating apps, as recent examples shown.
And then obviously we can look to the US as a good example of where we're headed, and that is that the forces that we were sold, and when I say we, I mean usually the white majority, because I think people of colour have been pretty awake to how these forces have been used, because they've been consistently used against marginalised communities. But for the rest of us, we're waking up to the reality that, like, oh, actually, border control and ICE aren't the good guys. They're not coming to save us. The police can be violent. You say what? Yeah, it's real. People have been saying it for a hot minute, but now we're catching up. And I think it's about time we really learnt the lessons of what people have been trying to teach us for a long time. And what does the US teach us is that when we're looking at the modes of surveillance that are interacting with the forces of repression, we're seeing the use of shared data among forces like, Palantir, which obviously in the UK now has access to all of our NHS data. If you haven't already, please write to your MP about this specific issue and let them know that you don't want your data to be sold to one of the worst organisations out there. And that's also then being cross-checked with things like Meta, where we now know that our posts, whatever we're posting on social media, is being used to create profiles, right? There are profiles on each and every one of us, and this will be the basis for the repression, and is already the basis for the repression to come. You're obviously more than aware that now when you apply for a visa to enter the United States, you have to reveal your social media history. So good luck with that. I just also wanted to talk about maybe some of the ways in which people have been resisting that, and that I've observed. I've got some friends who organise what they call phone-free parties, and parties are important, by the way. Parties are not just frivolous. A movement cannot sustain itself over the long term just through anger and frustration and bitterness, which we're all entitled to feel, but we're going to need to feel some joy in the kind of hope of what is to come. And so resistance parties, which is what I like to coin them, are spaces where you leave your phones at the door, or preferably somewhere a little bit further, and you enter the space where there is a clear rule that there is no tech in the room. We need to have spaces where we can get together and speak openly without the fear that the sort of Big Brother system that we're currently operating with is bringing about. And remember, a lot of Big Brother is operating in ways that are so insidious that we're already censoring what we are saying. I'm censoring what I'm saying to you right now. There's a camera on me. This is going to go online. You think I'm speaking openly right now? Let's be real. I am not. I've seen some really cool face masks doing the rounds. There's some in here, but I'm just, putting it out there that we need to think about how to confront the technologies that are designed to repress and suppress and control and ensure that dissent cannot be heard. And let's be honest, we're not dissenting on anything wild out here. We're dissenting on something as basic as inequality, something as basic as human rights for all, something as basic as, the state being responsive to its citizens, those wild ideas that once upon a time were sold to us as constituent of the democracies that we live in. I'm conscious of your time, so just going to be really quick. I wanted to share a couple of social movements that have really inspired me throughout history, and then if there are lessons you want to take from there, I'm not saying to replicate them because that might not be legal, but I'm just saying you should maybe look at them. Personally, I'm very inspired by the Black Panthers, whose main locus for social change was in their communities. Really important lessons from the Black Panthers. They understood that you don't galvanise hearts and minds through words alone. You're not going to win people over just by talking at them. You're going to have to make love tangible. Love is tangible, and love is tangible in ways through breakfast clubs for people whose kids can't get breakfast, and we know unfortunately there's a lot of them in this country right now. You can make love tangible through childcare groups. You can make love tangible through community defence groups. I see love in the streets of the United States right now when neighbourhoods get together and say, if we see ICE in this area, we are all coming out to block the roads. That is love in action. So what does love in action look like for us right now? We also understand, and they understood well, that coalitions on shared interests and at different points are necessary and mean reaching out to groups that you might not otherwise think of as allies. But might they be allies on this specific issue that you need change on? And might it be that the longer you converse with them, that maybe there's more convergence to be found than difference? And I would urge you to lean into that at a time where we are constantly made to think that people that we differ on are mortal enemies to us. I would urge you to think of people as ultimately, by and large, looking for the same things in life. So what are the coalitions that we can put together that represent a broad-based threat to power? They're groups that the government will look at and not believe that you could be together asking for the same thing. Who are they? How do you reach out to them? How do you set firm boundaries on what we stand for and what we don't? I'd also urge you to look at the Zapatista movement in Mexico in the 1990s. The Zapatistas are still as badass as they were back then, but they are among the first movements to use technology, specifically the internet, as a tactical tool. So they began by flooding internet forums and email lists with their communiques, essentially then bypassing the Mexican state-controlled media at the time. They built a network of networks with NGOs and activists globally, meaning that they had eyes on them. So when they took action and repression ensued, everyone was watching. Remember, non-violence only works if there is a theatre, an audience to look. If you're doing non-violence in silence, in dark spaces, no one cares. That is when repression occurs. So how do you create a theatre for your non-violence? And I know there are lots of creatives in this room, and I'm going to talk to you directly in a second on that. The Zapatistas didn't wait for the state to propose, right? The state was well aware of their contestations, but they didn't sit around and say, right, what are you going to offer us? They began to create the change they wanted to see. They set up their own schools, clinics, and good governance councils, and these became the alternative centres of power, which literally bypassed government control. The third movement that I want to mention and pay homage to is the encampments in America. I want to talk about something that somebody else here mentioned today, which was a video that stayed with me and which I have myself sought to practice at various protests here. And that is, you might remember him. He was a young man who was calling on the police to defect. Does anyone remember this video that was doing the rounds? So the police officers were all out here trying to arrest Ian Cameron, and he stood very calmly, very solemnly next to the officers, and he reminded them, you are us. You are not them, you are us. What affects us affects you. You don't need to be doing this. This isn't what you signed up for. You didn't become a police officer to repress people calling out genocide. You didn't become a police officer to arrest young people opposing inequality. So remember that many of those people who are in uniform, eventually, if you look at social movements that have achieved success, they've required defection of high levels in those positions. And so if we continue to only see them as enemies and not reach out to them in various ways to try and bring them to the movement, there is a risk that we will never change the real centres of oppression and power that we do need to shift. And there are successes in this, by the way. You can find examples of this. I'd urge you to look them up. I haven't personally claimed to have converted anyone. I did try and talk to a lot of police officers at the recent Pal Action demos, and they weren't blinking. But we push on. Okay, and then the next one, I don't know, who here has had a look into the Nepal Gen Z uprising that happened in September last year? Anyone familiar with this? Guys, if you have not, I urge you to look into this. This was not just a protest, this was a digital first revolution that literally toppled the government in 5 days. And they were using all the tools that you lot literally speak fluently. So it began with the trigger of the Nepo baby, right? They hashtagged Nepo baby, Nepo kids. It was a trend that went viral. They were literally showing up the lavish lifestyle of their politicians and contrasting it with what ordinary citizens were dealing with. And that literally went viral. Then they were basically highlighting lots of corruption via TikTok. I know TikTok is largely compromised, but we'll get on to the idea of new technologies and how we find new spaces to organize. And then, of course, does anyone remember the platform that they used to actually organize the new government? Discord. And guess what? No one was looking at Discord, because isn't that just where gamers hang out? Thank you, gaming people. We appreciate you. We appreciate the spaces that have been created that no one's looking at, that maybe are not conceived to be or perceived to be spaces of resistance, and maybe that's exactly where we need to be. They also remembered the 3.5 rule. You don't need everyone. We don't need everyone. Within days, millions were in the street, and the movement basically reached a critical mass. And they then basically, through Discord, organised who would be the interim Prime Minister. Okay, yes, I'm done. My last one is a shout out to everyone who's been arrested in the way of their willingness to refuse to bend to unjust rules. You are the real heroes of this story. I'm going to plug my podcast. There's an interview I did with a guy called Professor Tad Sturmer, who's a professor of American history. He's written a book called The Resistance History of the United States, and he reminds us that fascists, unfortunately, do not respond to institutional constraints. We wish they did, right? We wish we could say to them, excuse me, but this statute here does not permit. They don't give a fuck. They don't give a fuck. You think you're going to hold these people back by reminding them about rules? They literally don't think your rules matter. And unfortunately, this is where we're at. We're now dealing with bullies who do not believe in any form of restraint or constraint. So what does it mean to organise against fascists when fascists refuse to listen to rules or restraint? And that also just means don't lean into or believe that the institutions are going to be there to protect you or save us. My last shout out is for the artists. Art bypasses different, the forms of communication that are more direct. It speaks to the heart before the mind, and it reaches over political divides. Artists, we have never needed you more. And on that note, I'm out. Thank you so much.
How good was that? Great stuff from Marvellous Miriam Francois. Yeah, who rounded off proceedings for the great Take Back Power launch. yeah, it was great to be part of that. Check out the organisation. That was fantastic stuff from Miriam. All the other speakers there, sorry about the varying quality of camera angles, etc. But that was all exclusive footage from yours truly. And in just a moment we'll move on to some other stories. But that's it for Take Back Power. Just a reminder though, those dates, there's going to be a meeting in London next weekend, so do check that one out. One here in Manchester on the 31st of the month, and then one, I believe it's the weekend after, in Falmouth. Check out the website if you want more details about that, or how to perhaps set up a citizens' assembly, whatever it is that you want to do. Once again, a reminder, this is an unofficial stream for TBP, but being involved, I'm of course biased. Can you dig it?
Can you dig it? Can you dig it? Can you dig it?
We certainly can, Cyrus. But we're going to move on to some other stories now. Yeah, okay, let's finally bury this one, put the nail in the coffin. Let's get this one settled. Because I feel like I do have to do so. I'd love to know your contributions as well, people. So the clip in the latest video on the channel features a Viking apparently in a bathtub that's been modified with large roller skates, or large skates I should say, being chased by ICE agents, but it's cropped up quite a few times in the comments now that this could possibly be AI. The thing is, when the first time the clip first came to my attention, it was somebody filming the television, so sort of shaky cam at first and then focused in, which led me to believe it was of course capturing a live TV broadcast. And there's another version of this which is somebody filming the TV as well. If you don't know the clip,
we are live over downtown Minneapolis where, yes, that is a protester in a Viking costume riding what appears to be a porcelain bathtub on...
So whether it's real or not, I've been totally captivated by this. I've seen it on repeat quite a few times since it came out the other day. But yeah, in Minnesota apparently, and that is somebody filming their TV. You can see a lot of ICE agents. But if anybody has any 100% certified proof that it's not real, then please do let me know, because I'll either take the last video down or we'll have to edit it or re-upload possibly. I don't know, but I'm just not comfortable if it is AI. That would perhaps seem misleading, so I do want to definitively know, because there's no real clarity out there at the moment from what I've seen.
Skate wheels.
Still
15
good.
ICE agents are on his heels, but look at this. He's pulling away. All
They're
units,
away,
watch the
they're
slush,
away.
watch the slush. We are live over downtown Minneapolis where, yes, that is a protester in a Viking costume.
I really, really hope it's real. Come on, it's got to be a contender for funniest story of the year already. Possibly, you know, hero of the year or whatever. Oh, actually, one. Look at the clock. Look at the clock. I've not noticed that before, actually. I was too distracted by the 4:06 PHM. PHM? Well, if that's the time, could that possibly be an AI error? I really hope it's real. But there's the TikToker Rack Film. Don't use TikTok, either on the channel or personally. But if you do, possibly check them out. And if it has been properly officially called out, I'd really like to know. All the ICE agents are identical. Well, they're in riot gear. Yeah. It's difficult to know the context as well. This is just all I've seen. Don't know how it started, don't know how it ended. According to Mediaite, it's AI. Okay. I see wearing black. Yeah, that's another point. It's looking increasingly so, it seems, that it could be a setup. In which case, yeah, we would have to remove it. I'm not going to be accused of fakery on this channel. Hell no.
Riding what appears to be a porcelain bathtub on skate.
Some people in the comments have also pointed out how calm and placid that the protester is, as though it's just an odd, just out here in my retrofitted bathtub with a historically inaccurate Viking helmet and pelt of some description. Whatever it is, cape. But it's either way, it's still a good clip, but we can't report it as genuine if it isn't.
15 ICE agents are on his heels, but look at this. He's pulling away all...
I just like, oh, it could be a national sport, you know. He's pulling away. Look at them. Watch the slush. Watch the slush. So, it's been snowing. And would an AI commentator say that? Make comments about the slush from the thawing snow? Are they that clever? Are they that good? Well, of course you can program it to say what you like, I guess. But if it has just come up with it itself, then that is rather clever.
Units, watch the slush, watch the slush. We are live.
And that's all there is. That's all there is. I want to see more. Good point, though. Soon we won't know what is real and what isn't. This actually came up at the Take Back Power meeting. Because I did obviously participate in the breakout groups as well as doing media and other stuff. But AI, just how convincing it is. But we're also talking about it in the industrial sense. We were talking about, obviously, robotics and the means of production and how people would like to move towards automated luxury communism. But unfortunately, the thirst for private profit and greed means that people still end up working long hours for shitty pay. Many things to consider where AI is concerned, but at the moment, I think just out of precaution, even though it's actually doing okay, I think it's got a couple of thousand views already. But no, I won't be happy with potentially putting something up that's AI. Gonna have to resolve that post-stream. Thank you for your contributions. Red Mag, we're not sure. This is it. This is the debate on stream at the moment. Thanks for joining us. But if you've got any solid proof, send it to us at myleftyuk@gmail.com. That is proof either way. But there is some definitely genuine embarrassment for the right wing to come in this part of the stream, starting with Jake Lang, who decided to hold a far-right rally in Minneapolis after everything that's gone on in recent weeks. Not a good idea. Certainly got what was coming to him. He was booted out wholesale. Not sure at what point he realised that this was a bad idea. But what an absolute idiot. Take a look at this, people. Oh, we're good again. Sorry about the mic buffering issue there. But yeah, as you can see in the clip here, soon massively outnumbered, this right-wing douchebag, Jake Lang, you can see here surrounded by scores, possibly even leading into the hundreds. It's my understanding that only a handful of people showed up for his right-wing effort. But in Minnesota, of all places, is this guy on crack? Not going well, is it, Jake? No, Sui was literally run out of town. There are several other clips floating around. Just wanted to bring that one to you, because we've got to get moving on to some other examples. But that's one from the States there. I'm not massive... I've heard the name before, Jake Long. I'm sure that a lot of our US viewers are more familiar with him. If you know some examples of his twattery, then feel free to post them in the chats or in the comments if you watch back later. And have you hit the thumbs up button yet, people? Please make sure that you do that on stream. We're going to bring it back to the UK now with the next example. And I'm sure that you've seen this one as well, but always worth a rewatch, of course. It has happened before, but once again, Nigel Farage has been duped in a cameo appearance, having previously sent out birthday messages to people with names like Huge Ass. The list of Simpsons, Moore's Bar, phone call wind-ups comes to mind. So yeah, Huge Anus, IP Freely, that sort of thing. But this time, he's been duped into making a tribute to a late pederast, former Lost Prophets singer Ian Watkins, who was in prison for heinous crimes. I think that was about 10 years ago. Was it? Maybe even longer? I'm not sure. Unfortunately, sharing his name with someone from another group, a pop group, there was some confusion when that story initially broke. But yeah, he did. He was killed in prison recently, wasn't he? So apparently Farage didn't even know that. He didn't put two and two together. Wasn't familiar with the name. So let's see the clip of Farage on Cameo making a tribute to Ian Watkins. What a fucking fool.
This message is to pay tribute to Ian Watkins, a good man, a really good guy who was very much in contact with me, who loved his children and will be sorely, sorely missed by them forever. And he'll always, hold that very special place.
Just whether he knew the name or not aside, it just goes to show that you can make him say anything, you can buy him. I think these things cost about £100 for a cameo appearance. Anyone who doesn't know Cameo, well-known personalities give shout-outs if you give them money, birthday greetings, that sort of thing. But he's just said there that he's someone he sees a lot in regular contact with. He's talking about someone who's, was killed in prison. So, oh yeah, I just spoke to them today. Yeah, of course you did. God.
In everybody's heart. And remember what he always said, mad lulz. Well, tell you what, that does just about sum up the world, doesn't it? Sorry for your grief, but please try and keep some happy memories.
He doesn't it, and at the end, sorry for your grief, but please try. You don't even get it. You don't even get it. He's probably going to try and shake that one off with some bullshit. Has he even addressed this yet? I don't know. I don't know if he's tried to. He's been too busy with the, all the defection stuff. Mussolini as well, of course. as generic. And someone while we're on stream. In fact, another defection. Get that swat off my screen. But another example here from the UK. Tommy 10 Names has something of a sort of low budget version. Someone who I briefly had a bit of back and forth with in person actually during a demonstration. It was, well, he was trying to make out that the protest was a support, you know, Hamas, terrorists, whatever, the usual bullshit. But I did find myself in a bit of a back and forth with this guy. Danny Tamo is the name, the sort of bargain bin version of Yaxley Lennon, and it turns out he's been on the grift, the same way Tommy has, of course. Yeah, give me £100,000 to fight my case in court, and I'll immediately prove guilty. That was one of Tommy's tricks, but you're going to see a pair of prats here explaining why they got duped by this Danny Tamo. We'll just go through. God. Oh, what can you say about IQ levels on the far right? Really, what can you say? I don't know the names of these two idiots who've been duped, but the penny's dropped, and they've certainly got something to say about Danny Tamo.
With ours, and the constant reference to the need to content produce raised alarm bells with us, as we were starting to feel that this was not necessarily a patriotic path that he wanted to go down.
Before he gets into all this, I'm not sure the guy on the left actually says anything through this. He just sort of sits there nodding, yes, we were dumb enough to get duped by a far-right grifter. But also in attempting to promote the Raise the Colours, you know, the flag shagging campaign. In fact, I should have put this in placard power, in hindsight. I might just play the theme tune at the end, to be honest. Just to, you know, make it official. But he's not even bothered to flip the image so that you can read the name of the campaign that's on his hoodie. Would they at least not do that? If you're gonna post the video, if you're gonna sit there and not say anything, try and advertise your campaign, at least reverse the image, turn it off, you know, mirror mode or whatever, and people will be able to read it. But they didn't even do that, and he just sits there. He's like, yeah, we are stupid, aren't we? Fucking hell.
It seemed to be more of a monetary goal. This was confirmed early on, and our suspicions were aroused about his motives after his first visit to France with the RTC team.
So, visiting France with the RTC team, bear that in mind. Just want to address something else in the chat. Apparently Tomo is a cold-cattled cretin, according to the shouty bloke. The guy on the left has been done for people smuggling into the UK. Is that true? Is that true? That's what the shouty bloke's saying there in the chat. Would many of us, I don't know, you can talk about how surprised you might be about that.
He set up his own PayPal payment.
They're all on the Colombian marching powder, though. Definitely Tommy Robinson. He was absolutely jacked to the tits during that confrontation with the boxer in December.
And webpage to take donations and gather data. Operation Overlord 2. We absolutely did not know of this intention until after Daniel posted this on his social media. We had no involvement in it. At this point, we would like to make it clear that any trip that Daniel was a part of, he did not pay for. All trips have been funded entirely by RTC donations. Any donation that Daniel received, we cannot account for. Additionally, Ryan was subjected to a fraud where £2,500 was taken from his personal account, and has since found out that this was used for software that Daniel is now using. Ryan did not authorise the use of his card and was not aware of this, so we obviously draw our own conclusion here.
It's £2,500 he's swiped there.
On Wednesday morning, we woke to the news that the French government had decided to ban 10 members of the RTC movements. Daniel then proceeded to do a live talking about the situation, but failed to mention that he had quit on what we thought were amicable terms the night before. At RTC, we were dumbfounded by this, but can only deduce that after the announcement...
We were dumbfounded that we got grifted by a grifter. We didn't see this one coming.
From the French government, he must have regretted his actions, as he obviously saw it as a huge lost opportunity for him in several ways, so therefore was piggybacking off us. We saw this as a conflict of interest, so released a statement regarding Daniel's departure. Daniel then blocked RTC on all social media platforms and personal accounts of the main people at RTC. He also blocked everyone on their mobile devices. Ryan did a live on Wednesday at 5:30 p.m, where Daniel then unblocked us from his social media and kept popping up and started directing people to his monetised YouTube channel.
Oh my God.
What
So he's... Okay, if my understanding of this is correct, he's taken $2,500 from someone and then proceeded to troll his online stream by directing people to his donation page when he's already stolen from the host. I'm not surprised at, you know, the brief back and forth that I had with him. He was just a complete, you know, half-wit. It soon became clear to me that he wasn't worth wasting my time on. Yeah, that was in public as well, by the way. We're surrounded by people. It didn't get heightened or anything. But look, oh my God. And then he goes and does that. I am my own lack of shock, people.
followed after this was a barrage of abuse by way of voice notes and text messages off Daniel.
And then he proceeded to barrage them with online abuse. Well, there you go. That's the only bit of the clip that I've got there. What a pair of swats. Yeah, Bricktop, Alan Ford in Snatch, yeah. Do you know these two tits? I know a lot of tits, Governor, but I don't know any quite as fucking stupid as these two. Oh, fucking hell. Yeah, I don't know the names of those two Wazzocks, but there you go. Fucking hell. Oh, what a pair of fuckholes. Okay. Moving on. Let's move on. Herbie. Oh, I did say I was going to placard power it, wasn't I? Might as well. Just officially end that. I've not done a placard power thing for a bit, but I guess that counts as one. It's just a good excuse to play the theme tune.
Are you a frustrated racist who's blindingly unaware of how wealthy grifters are pitting you against migrants and British-born citizens who aren't white?
Do you want to pretend that you're a concerned citizen and that every legal asylum seeker is some kind of sex predator as a thinly veiled cover for your blatant far-right views?
Then do we have the campaign for you? Placard power. Grab a marker, grab some cardboard, attach it to a plank of wood, and bang. You're good to go. Spelling, don't worry about that.
Punctuation? Forget it. That's for woke tranny students. Here at Placard Power, we welcome the illiterate. Dictionaries? Do one. Checking on a computer or phone? No thanks.
However the words sound in your dumb fascist head, just write them down like that, and in no time at all, you'll be spreading your message to the masses. It's easy, it's simple. Isn't that right, Captain Placard?
You bet your bigoted arse it is. Placard Power. Join today.
Membership costs £79.99 per month. All transfers to be sent directly to Tommy Robinson, care of Benjamin Netanyahu, Tel Aviv, Israel.
Placard Power. Actually, I forgot about the bit at the end with the terms and conditions. Not played that for ages. You know you love a bit of Placard Power. On my left eye, people, make sure you hit the thumbs up button. Yeah, back to the Toad now, just on this, you know, all these defections. We've had one whilst we've been on stream, apparently there's been one announced. And now clearly the public's, even if they weren't before, cottoning on to the fact that basically Reform's just full of Tories, recycled Tory party. But Farage is somewhat in denial where this is concerned. I'll bring up the article now. And he's iterated that it's basically not just a refugee camp, as he's so bluntly put it, I think, or a rescue centre or something like that. I'll find out when I get this article up. A rescue charity, he says, sorry, a rescue charity for panicky Tory MPs. Well, you certainly could have fooled me, Nigel. You can't fool me into voting for you. That'd never happen in a month of Sundays. A month of Socialist Sundays. Hashtag. Right, let's see what's going on. Cool Jazz Sundays on my left eye. Right. He's insisted Reform UK will not become the Conservative Party 2.0, following the defection of former senior Tory Robert Jenrick. Of course, we reported on that recently. The party's leader wrote in The Telegraph that Reform was not a rescue charity for every panicky Tory MP, and any potential defectors would have to be prepared to admit publicly that the previous Conservative government broke the country. Can you believe this? Reform's deputy leader Richard Tice told BBC that Jenrick was a great new asset who brought ministerial experience. However, with around 20 former Tory MPs joining the party in recent months, critics have argued Reform is becoming a home for failed Tories rather than a new force in British politics. Farage said his party will not accept any more defectors after local elections are held on the 7th of May. So this article, when did this article come out? This was 27 minutes past 11 this morning, and then, what, hours later, about 10 hours later, oh, less than that, there's been another defection. And he really is very close with Ian Watkins, don't forget. He would like to reiterate that as well strongly. In fact, he spoke to him earlier this morning, around 11:25 AM. Quick chat there. So yeah, that promise lasted all of 10 hours. He also said any Conservative MP who still clings to the hope that their party can recover and waits until May the 8th to try and leave the sinking ship does not understand how rapidly things are changing in the country, he wrote in the Tory Graph. Trying to use Reform as a lifeboat to save their own political skins will not wash. We have no interests in rescuing political failures. He said any defectors would have to bring some benefits to the party and truly believe in Reform's fundamental values of family, community and the country. Yeah, pull the other one. Won't read through the full thing. Oh, Jenrick. Sorry, not Jenrick. Tice, it appears, was on the rounds this morning. shout out to No Justice MTG as well as Kevin Logan, who do some excellent analysis of Laura Kussenberg's full show, usually on Sundays, so check that out. So there they are. That's the, well, look at the quality that they've absorbed. Robert Jenrick, Nadim Zahawi, Jonathan Goulis, Danny Kruger, Jake Berry, Nadine Doris, Andrea Jenkins, and 50p Neanderthal. Need more disinfection than defection. Good point though, Graham. Like your version of that song there, Floor Snake. Alternative lyrics. Yeah, what a day. Is the on-screen chat stuck? It is. Good shout out. There we go. Remedied immediately. Speaking of washed up politicians, let's get this prick off my screen. Just onto this final bit of a catch up on UK politics. Yes, as previously feared, it's now been officially announced that Tony Blair will be joining Marco Rubio on this supposed Gaza Board of Peace, of course. Board of Appropriation, I guess. That'd be a much better name for it. Board of Annexation. Oh, unless they're operating on at the behest of Israel, why would the United States of America or Tony Blair want to be involved with this endeavour at all in the Middle East? But no, this is bad. This is terrible. Of course, we know that they're just going to go for the resources. We know Blair's reputation with that. Of course, with Iraq, well, Gulf 2, Iraq 2, if you want, well, technically 3, or even 4, if you want to put it that way. Have I got time to go off on a brief tangent? Possibly. Well, it all started in 1914. A certain excavator was failing to drill wells in Iraq. Had actually been ordered to stop, but persevered and carried on for another week, at which point he did hit a well. This did, of course, lead the British to make sure that they'd seized the territory before the end of World War I, so that they could seize the oil wells in Iraq. So that was in 1918. They just about did it. It's a broader story as well, of course. But they managed. The basic point is they got a 75-year deal on the oil wells, and of course, if you do the maths where that's concerned, that just about takes you up to roughly 1990s, doesn't it? Early 1990s. And what happened then? Of course, the United Kingdom and the United States of America invaded Iraq. Yeah, what can you say? Could go off on a bit of a wider tangent about that, but that's all I'll say at the moment. But Tony Blair, what's this all about then? Marco Rubio's not going to be any better, of course, US Secretary of State. Steve Witkoff and the President's son-in-law, Jared Kushner, will also sit on the body. Oh, this gets even better. Trump will act as chairman of the board. God, he's just... So now he thinks he's got the Nobel Prize. He's creating this thing to make himself the boss of it. It's expected to temporarily oversee the running of Gaza and manage its reconstruction. And yeah, I'm sure that the companies involved with this will have nothing to do with the individuals on the board whatsoever. There won't be any connections, financial connections, that sort of thing. I'm certain that, say for example, I mean, you're going to think I'm crazy. You're going to say, you know, Lefty's really lost it here, people. Let's lock him up in the loony asylum. Let's say that you and Blair, son of Tony, and his companies might somehow benefit from this. Wouldn't that be extraordinary? Or do you think that's perhaps the wildest claim that you've ever heard? So each member will have a portfolio, it says, critical to Gaza's stabilisation and long-term success, the White House statement said. The Board of Peace itself, there is no peace. Even this week, Israel encroached within the yellow line, these zones that have been set out as part of the phony ceasefire, of course, which is another violation. Somewhere between 500 and 1,000 people have been killed since this phony ceasefire was declared, and now you expect us to believe that this Board of Peace is actually going to have any positive effect on Palestinians and isn't just going to be more annexation of territory, more grabbing of resources. Of course, they're sitting on a lot of natural gas as well as other things, for example, Palestine. And look at this, Jesus Christ. The greatest, most prestigious board ever assembled at any time, any place. I'm just only surprised that he didn't follow it up with everybody says it. Cram it up your orange arsehole, Trump. Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney has been asked by Trump to join the board and will accept the invitation. Oh, fuck off. The former head of the Bank of England is now in on this. I'm sure that he won't have any ulterior motives. Javier Milei, Argentinian president. Oh my, this is just like a who's who. Who's going to be next? Ghislaine Maxwell? They're going to put Mandy on the board. I don't want to give him any ideas now. Of course, he'll still be trying to cling to Tony's coattails, won't he? Fucking creep. Even Wes Streeting has said this will raise some eyebrows. And he's thick as two short planks. But he also defended Blair, mentioning, of course, the Good Friday Agreement there. I think his record on the Middle East would perhaps eclipse that Wesley. But of course he's inclined to defend Blair in this neoliberal cabinet. It comes after the announcement a separate 15-member Palestinian Technocratic Committee, the National Committee for the Administration of Gaza, NCAG, charged with managing the day-to-day governance of post-war Gaza, post-occupation, what we'll say, and it should end with, you know, Israel, your border should be way the fuck back there. Ali Shath, former deputy minister in the Palestinian Authority, which governs parts of the occupied West Bank, not under Israeli control, will head that new committee. Of course, they're happy to say that West Bank's occupied. That pops up quite frequently. But you'll never hear it where Gaza's concerned, coming from the P.O.V. Nikolai Maldonov, who's a Bulgarian politician. I don't know him by reputation, have to say. He might be getting involved as well. There they are. They still have it. Those two sentences. The war in Gaza was triggered by... Fuck off. Dear BBC, you suck on Gaza reporting. Yeah, good point there in chat as well, Graham. Blair sent the head of MI6 to the CIA to find out what the US's real plans for Iraq were, and he knew all along this was no WMD thing. Don't you dare get me started on David Kelly. I'll put Robin Cook, question mark, as well. You can add into that conversation, possibly. You know what I'm talking about, people. Yep, he knew all along. It was all for resources, nothing to do with WMDs. The phony claim that they could quickly set up these launch sensors as well. Colin Powell's phony speech to try and get the thing ratified. It's all completely illegal. Should be in The Hague. Let's hear that one again, Herbie. Yeah, another shameful smirk on the reputation of this country, unfortunately. But that is terrible. Blair shouldn't be within a country mile of anything to do with the Middle East. Or anything ever again. Just be gone. Just be gone. So, you know, has he not got enough money already? From what he's already pilfered? But greed knows no bounds where capitalists are concerned, I guess. Let's cheer ourselves up with another comedy clip though, people. This is a debut plug for this YouTuber here on My Left Eye. I am going to have to upload the clip live on stream as it happens. But Andrew Lawrence is the name. Recommend him. He's going to be on a bit of a dig at those defections. Don't know if any of you already follow him, but if not, check him out. The link's already there in the description of the stream for this video, as well as his page. So check that out. I'll just need to quickly adjust this, people, if you'll bear with me for a very brief moment. Need to make sure I can hear this in my headphones. Just enjoy the jazz. Okay, Andrew Lawrence, take it away.
Nigel, how are you, mate?
Hell, that's loud. Sorry.
My goodness,
Sorry.
how long has it been? Yeah, long time. No, I know you're busy. I just wanted to say congratulations, mate. So pleased to see how well it's going for reform. So pleased. Oh God, you've worked so hard for so long. You deserve this, mate. Just so happy for you. Always happy to see old friends succeed. No, I don't want to take up too much of your time. The reason I've called is I'm not very happy with where the Conservative Party's at right now. Yeah. As you know, I've been a loyal servant of the party for many, many years. No one has been more loyal than I have, but you know, mistakes were made. It doesn't feel like lessons have been learned. And there does come a point where you have to say, enough is enough. I suppose what I'm saying is, sticking my neck out here, have you got room for one more at reform? Don't want to put you on the spot, obviously. Yeah, I hear what you're saying. Yes, I have been very publicly pro-mass uncontrolled immigration in the past, but I was towing the party line. It wasn't a true reflection of my feelings on the matter, Nigel. Yeah, well, sometimes you have to be a team player. Yes, I know I did call you a racist on LBC. That was an error of judgment. Absolutely, I did get carried away in the heat of the moment. And you know, I do things differently now, but that's the cut and thrust of politics, isn't it? Yes, I did call Reform a bunch of bigots on Have I Got News For You? Well, it goes with the territory, unfortunately. That's the deal, if you're going to appear on the BBC, you know that. Well, in my defence, that was a year and a half ago, and at the time, I didn't realise how popular Reform was going to become. Well, I'd like to think I've always been one of your biggest supporters, Nigel. Yeah. Remember when you were in that horrific plane crash and the mainstream media were openly laughing at you in public? I had the common decency to do it in private. But it's got to count for something. Anyway, I'd love to come on board. I really believe in what Reform is doing right now. But I think at this point you need honest, loyal people with real integrity around you. Just say the word and I'll ditch the Tories without a moment's hesitation and come running. Yeah, no problem. I've got to go too. Really busy. But listen, I really do think that this... Hello? 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 Thanks for watching. Please do like and subscribe so that I can continue to grow this channel.
Do go and subscribe. Andrew Lawrence, the link is in the description of this stream. So that's the first time he's featured on the channel. That was new to me, but that is pretty much how it's been. Bang on the nose. I'm sure that we'll see more defections between now and May's elections, despite what Farage himself has said. So subscribe to Andrew Lawrence.
Can you dig it? Can you dig it? Can you dig it?
I can dig it, and I can dig these marvellous members on the channel. Now we're just 100 away from our target of 250. Thanks again to everybody whose names you can see on your screen right now. You can join them for just 99p. It's a fraction of the price of a tasty hot beverage. Check out the perks, just hit the button, lots to enjoy, including static emojis that you can use on these very streams. And there's exclusive content as well as other perks. Super Chats is open if you're watching live. Super Thanks if you watch about later on. There's also a Buy Me a Coffee page. Speaking of hot tasty beverages, check the link in the description of this stream whilst you're checking out the links for the comedy content, of course. And give us a share on social media, give us a follow whilst you're there as well. MyLeftEyeUK is the handle you're looking for, preferably on Blue Sky, but we're also on Twitter and Mastodon as well. MyLeftEyeUK is the handle. Thank you very much, everybody. Self-promotion stall closed. And we'll take another dive into Keith's Fondue Lounge. Yes, stick with us as we get into the closing throws of the Sunday live stream. I'm looking for a channel to raid into now, so there's going to be something worth sticking around for. As for streams on this channel, we'll be back with the brews at 10 throughout the week, of course, including PMQs on Wednesday. But we'll probably be seeing you before then as well. And we do have No Justice. Yeah, doing the aforementioned analysis of Kossenberg, which is always worth checking out. A great fan of the channel myself. Of course, co-winner of Alternative Channel of the Year here on My Left Eye. That's No Justice, who also joins Jack Polonsky with Bull Politics, as well as Navarra, if you're not familiar with the channel. So we go raiding in just a couple of moments. But all that remains, of course, is for me to thank you for being here this evening. Happy Socialist Sunday, everybody. Hope you've had a great weekend. I'll be seeing you next week. But until then, solidarity, power to the people. Don't let the bastards grind you down. Free Palestine, Yemen, Sudan, and Lebanon. Have I said Lebanon? And the Fulton 24. But I'll catch you on the next one. Good night, everybody.
Socialists,